Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marilyn Michelle, and this is One Honest Life. So today I'm going to talk about Trucker Chronicles once again. It'll be episode 2, and I'm going to actually talk about my second, third, and fourth year because they were pretty similar. I actually found myself that was the best. I would probably say that's the best of my driving experience that I've had so far. And that actually has got me to the point where I was able to accomplish a lot of the things I have accomplished thus far. And so basically the second year, I ended up with a different company. Pretty much all of the years, every year I was with a different company. It wasn't because I planned it that way. It kind of just went that way because you would think you would be fine, and unfortunately the company would lose the account, and then you had just basically two options: either stick with it and take whatever they give you, or you have to go find another job. And I chose to find another job because at the end of the day, the pay always changed. It never was the same. And when I say that, I mean in a bad way. Okay. The only good thing was, though, I learned this about truck companies. A lot of times they always, when you have a job already, it's kind of like anything in general jobs. It's like if you already have something, it's easier to get something else. So that's what happened. I basically found myself a lot of times, I go ahead and just apply. And I never skipped a paycheck. I never did any of that. So the next company I went to was a better option, and they gave me better pay at that point, and it worked out. So example was second company, the account I was on, it was pretty much a set pay every day. As long as I went to work, I got my set pay. And then sometimes they would put me on a different account. And I got a little bit extra pay for doing a different account, which, excuse me, that was kind of odd to me too, how you put me on a different account that's not mine, I get more money for doing a different account. And that kind of to me told me that means you could have been paying me that, right? For the account I'm actually on. But okay. So second year, I did get a lot savings accomplished because I didn't have a lot of like overhead. I've never really have been that person to have a lot of overhead anyways. So it was pretty easy for me to stick with just paying my normal bills and just saving. So that's what I did. And as I was saving, no lie, I still spent money. Okay, I'm a person, I'm human. But it never was enough to where I could not see myself having money in the bank, right? And that was all that kind of mattered to me at that point. Third year, I always got to vacation time, and it always something happened every single time. It always something happened, and it didn't work out. I just switched to a different company. So the third year, I got to the third company, and it was a pretty okay situation. But all of these companies, by the way, all the companies I've been with, they always would drive in. With the exception of the company I have now, and truth be told, I was right to stick with the driving. But we'll talk about that on another episode. But as far as the drive-in go, 53-foot drive-ins, that's basically the longest drive-ins you're gonna possibly get. They have one that's exception. They use overhaul. I mean, heavy haul or long haul. Other than that, you pretty much gonna get the typical standard 53-foot, which that is my preference. Every time I've tried anything smaller, I don't like it. It's not my thing. But yeah, so I saved and I saved. I was living in a duplex for like pretty much most of my driving career, and it was very low overhead. I did not pay that much for it, and I was thankful for that. It was a blessing, and I was able to just keep pushing forward, keep saving, and that got me to the goal. Like at first, I didn't really have any plans, but it's still, I just knew I wanted to save. Okay, I did know that. And the third company, though, I stayed at the third company the longest, okay? But I did leave that one on my terms because it came from my upper management where my issues came from with this company specifically, because I was doing they call shuttling. And with this specific company, it was called shuttling. And their version of it was you pick up a trailer, either whether it's empty or loaded, take it to a destination, drop it, switch out with load or empty, and come back, do it all over again. So I would do that like 6 times, come back around 6 times, so like 12 trailers. And I was really good at it, honestly. Only issue I had with it, I can be a little bit too efficient sometimes, okay? And that causes me a problem because I was so quick at it that I would get bored and I had to sit around a lot because I couldn't leave still. I had to have my own set schedule, so I couldn't leave, and I was getting paid by the hour. So if I did leave, I got less pay, and that's not what I was trying to get. So that was a whole situation in itself too. But that was the time when I decided that I was gonna make some better choices as far as my finances go, and be able to purchase more of something I really wanted. Because at first I was like, what am I gonna do with all this saving, right? And I finally just like, I'm just gonna see if I can, get a vehicle. So I already had a vehicle, but I've always wanted a truck. So I finally just decided to see if I could get it, and I was able to, because it had basically me being with the savings and being responsible, paying all my bills and everything. It made my credit go up significantly, because there was a point in time that I didn't really care about my credit, but it got to a point I was like, okay, why not? And it was kind of, it was on purpose, but it kind of wasn't, because I was paying attention to just being responsible, and it kind of just, it came natural pretty much. And it just worked out for me in my favor when I did that. So I just kept progressing. And each company, this experience was, it was different, but at the end of the day, it still was driving the truck. That's all I knew. I love driving. I do. I enjoy it. Only thing now is it's not what it used to be. And I told you in my first episode that I got off the road, and I did not like it. After the first year, I knew I didn't like being on the road, but I did still like driving because I like being by myself. I like having my own time to myself and being able to just drive. Only thing is, some companies you're gonna have a lot of dispatching issues sometimes, and I don't like that. So when I was local, a lot of times they just gave me a load in the morning, or I already kind of knew what I was doing. So that was a no-brainer. I didn't have to talk to too many people, and I can just go. If I give it advice though about the companies and everything, I just tell people to just choose what's best for you. If you feel like you can be an OTR driver, which is on the road, that's fine. You do what you do for you. But I just know it's not for everybody, because it wasn't, I don't say it's the worst thing ever, but it does get draining unless you just really just want to be out there and you don't want the responsibility of being home, because you're not going to be at home that much. So there's really no point of even having a house when you're on the road. So the times that I was at home, I had to basically just hope that everything was still there when I got home. When I come back like once a month. But when I got to be local every day coming home, it felt better. It's just that the last company kind of woke me up to where if you get paid by the hour, you got to be there all day, okay, to get the pay and get the money at the end of the week. So that specific company, I never missed a day at work. I literally worked, because I was the only shuttle driver anyway. So that was another thing I didn't like about that company. I was the only driver that did what I did. So I couldn't really take off if I wanted to. I tried to, and it still didn't always be successful for me. And I don't know. I had a few little hiccups. I ain't gonna talk about that part, but I did have a few things happen to me, and I had to just deal with it and go with the flow. But it still got to a point I just got burned out, and that's kind of what led me to make a decision that I did make. And I'll talk about that in a different video. But overall, I would say my experience with driving trucks has not been bad. It has not really. This is really the best job by far I've had, as far as, if I can say, because I've had quite a few jobs in my lifetime and different career options and stuff. But like I said, I'm an introvert. So I told you on a different video, and that makes me more so want to just do things where I'm working by myself, because I don't like being responsible for other people. No. I don't like having to have expectations for others as well. And I think I know people can kind of relate to that. I just know for me, I want to stick with this type of job until I'm able to just stop, because I do not want to continue that. And I have a plan. That's another thing. I have a plan of how I'm going to get that done. But I kind of just wanted to come on here with my experience of how I started driving, my experiences with the second, third, and fourth year. And the pay was really good on the second, third, and fourth year. I actually probably made the second year, I want to say like 60 some thousand, maybe a little more than that, probably. Yeah, more likely more than that. The third, fourth year kind of rolled together, and it was probably the most I made overall. I want to say about 65, 70,000. And that was the year I was able to get a lot of stuff done, have my savings, and accomplish what I have accomplished thus far. I'm actually gonna do a video about that as well, how I ended up purchasing my house, the whole process and everything with that too. If you're interested, watch that video. It's coming up really soon. As a matter of fact, it's gonna probably be today, just in a different video. So if you see me wearing this again, that's why. But yeah, that was pretty much my experience with it. I did have hiccups in there, and also with people, drivers. And I'm not just talking about the 18-wheelers, I'm talking about the 4-wheelers as well. They can be a hassle. I just know it's not a dream that most people try to think it is. It's not. Now, I have met people that have very successful. They were very happy with what they were doing. It came out for them to work, and they didn't have any, minimal problem. They made the maximum money out of the situation. And they actually is what pushed me to keep going too. And I did meet them, and they motivated me to just say, okay, I can figure this out. And I did. Just make it work for you. That's key. I tell you about anything. Make it work for you. And that's what I did. And at this point, I'm kind of at a crossroad. So in my next video about trucking, I will kind of tell you about that as well. But until then, I'm going to get off of here. But I'll talk to you guys later, and you guys have a great day. And once again, my name is Merla Michelle, and thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you're watching. Talk to you guys later.